Good afternoon and good morning, wherever you're logging in from. We want to thank you, our guests for joining in today to our monthly owner panel Q&A session. To our owners, Jim Braun, Jim Stapleton, and Jason Randall, thanks for joining in and helping these folks through some questions and thoughts that they're thinking through as they continue to work through their discovery process. Just to give everybody a quick little outline of how this call will go. It's really intended to give you the opportunity to explore those questions and those things that you're thinking about. So we'll work our way in a round robin fashion to work through one question at a time. I'm sure we'll have ample amount of time to work through a second or third question if you have them. But as we get kicked off, we want to give you a quick introduction to each of our owners and allow you to learn a little bit more about their business before we go into the Q&A portion. So we're going to start off with Jim Braun. Jim, give us a quick introduction to Sign Resources.
Name of my company, Sign Resources. We're located in Triad, which is Greensboro, Winston-Salem, High Point area of North Carolina. 16 years in business. Our facility is 6,000 square feet. We have 6 full-time employees. My 2025 sales projection, we tanked last year, and I think it's because of the election, but everything we bid on in the fourth quarter has come through. And seems like right after the election, the floodgate opened, and we did over 100,000 in January, which we've never done 100,000 in a January. So I couldn't even begin. I'd love to be at the 1.2, 1.3 the end of this year. If we keep going the way we're going right now, we will be. Let's see, our biggest customer last year was Freud Tools, which is Diablo. And for you guys that are in the sign business, I guarantee you're buying their blades or drill bits or whatever the case may be. We did a 1.3 million square foot distribution center. Racking signs, interior, exterior. We did a 26-foot long channel letter for it. And the whole job was about $115,000. And then my background is I've spent 16 years in consumer products. I actually worked in Freeport, Illinois, which I know Heidi will probably know about, for Newell Rubbermaid for quite a few years. And then I transferred down here to High Point in Levelor, Window Fashions. And that's my background.
Yeah, that's awesome, Jim. Did you work yourself some free saw blades or router bits?
Actually, Dan, I have gotten quite a bit of stuff from him. Come over and walk through our sample room and take what you want. So it's been very nice.
That's good. That's a great project. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Very good. Well, let's go to Jim Stapleton over at First Impression Signs and Graphics. Jim, give us a quick introduction.
Hi, everybody. I am Jim Stapleton at First Impression Signs and Graphics. We are in Omaha, Nebraska, in the middle of a blizzard today. So getting power surges if I drop, I hopefully can get a pass. Let's see. We are 4 years old in a couple of weeks. So April 1st, we will be 4 years old. Started in 2021, just after COVID. We have expanded into another bay at our space. So we started with a 2,000 square foot space and took over another space in the same facility. So we're now at 4,000. We have 5 employees, including myself. Sales projection, difficult, but last year we did just under $1 million, 980. So we're hoping to do 1.2 to 1.5 this year. Biggest customer, that's a hard one as well. We do a lot of wholesale kind of stuff for installations and fabrications of vinyl things for a lot of freelance wrap folks. So if you were to look at a top revenue over the last year, it would be those types of customers. But we also have a lot of recurring customers. There's a large nursery in town that we do a lot of signage indoor and outdoor for. There's also some farm implement retailers, some of the big combine guys that have retail operations in rural Nebraska. We've done lots of big channel letters and indoor signage for those guys as well. Background, I historically had been a supply chain operations guy in the tech industry. Most recently, the last 25 years was with HP.
Yeah, very good. And Jim, I might have missed it. How big is your operation and how many employees are you up to at this point now?
We have 5 employees, including myself. Last year we did 980, and we hope to do 1.2 to 1.5 in 25.
Yeah, perfect. Perfect. Very good. Congratulations on the early success that you've had here as you build that first impression signs and graphics.
Thanks.
Well, let's go to our newest owner in the group, Jason Randall, down in Orlando. Give us a quick introduction to City Beautiful Signs and Graphics. Oh, Jason, you're on mute.
Let's try this again.
There you go.
That's what happens when you're a new owner. City Beautiful Signs and Graphics, located in Orlando, Florida, where it's 80 degrees and sunshiny today, just to let you know, Jim. We signed our contract with Signworld 3 years ago next month, but we opened in November of 2022. We're in 2,500 square feet. I have 2 full-time employees and 2 owners. My wife and I are both in the business. Our sales projection for this year is 500,000. And the last, before I did this, I was in records management, where we actually stored hard copy files for different businesses. I worked in a small independently owned one here in Orlando for 20 years, and then moved into a larger company for 3 years. COVID hit, and I was left on the outside. So I'm a COVID refugee, and that's how I found Signworld.
Yeah, very good. And Jason, to date, what's the biggest project that you've worked on?
Well, we just got reached out to by a Domino's Pizza that needed to have a sign redone with their LED lights. Got that contract with them, and then their delivery driver decided to back into said sign before we actually did the LED conversion, and found out that they have 17 locations. So we're not only doing that new cabinet sign, which was a $3,400 job, is now turned into a $20,000 job, but we also are doing a rebrand of one of their other stores that's right around $22,000 for the 3 signs we're going to be doing for them as well. So
that's great. It doesn't always take a hurricane in Florida to create new opportunities.
nope.
That's fantastic. That's great, and it's a great brand to be working with. Well, very good. Well, with that, we'll jump into our round robin Q&A portion of the call today. Have your questions ready. I'll bring each of you off of mute as your turn comes up. We'll go through one question at a time. Again, we'll have time to work through a second or a third round here, so have those questions ready. But let's start off with Heidi in Rockford. Heidi, any a question that you want to throw at our panel of owners here today?
You had to pick me first.
We'll start ladies first today.
Well, I am very well. How many other people are on the discussion?
We've got 5 or 6 on at the
Okay.
moment, so you got some time to ask some questions.
A lot of my questions probably have to do with the other prospective owners, like where they're at as far as that is concerned, but that's not really appropriate for this. So I'm very interested in meeting with a few different people who have facilities in our area. There are a few that I know of that are Signworlds, and I'm super curious about it. I'm sort of in a business situation right now that I'm working to get out of so that I can transition into something different, and this is high on my list. So I'm just pretty much here to gather information more than anything else. I have not been asked anything about net worth or anything like that at this time. It's different than a franchise type research where they're trying to field you out as far as that's concerned. I'm not sure if they get into that now, but in general, what did you find that you were able to bring to the table besides having to exit, like some people may have been, like you said, COVID refugees, or some people I noticed,
Sure.
I did a list of all the research and just tried to figure out, where everybody came from. And there's some people that retired, or a wife got into it first and then a husband followed. It's very intriguing to me. And I'm just sort of curious, like what you all brought to the table or what drew you to it. Um,
Sure.
whether
Yeah,
it's
great,
a
great question.
desperation
So
or
there's a couple
looking for
elements there of things
change.
that you were looking for, Heidi, that we'll address individually
Yes.
through discovery calls, whoever you may be working with, whether it's Jeannie, Jack, Dick, or myself on our team. We'll work through those elements with you. But there's some questions that you kind of rolled into that we'll throw back to our owners. So Jim, and Jason, think a little bit about what your startup looked like at the respective time of the investment that you made in, and for each of you is a little bit different based on when you came into Signworld. Do you feel like the working capital that you had was enough? Would you have brought more into that to be a little bit better prepared for those initial ramp up periods? And then at the time of startup, was it just you, was it a spouse, or somebody else? Did they come along at some point? How did the dynamic of startup happen for you? So Jim, going back now a decade or so ago, what did startup look like for you? Did you feel comfortable with the investment? Do you wish you maybe would have brought in a little bit more money? And what was the dynamic there from a personnel perspective that maybe
Mhm.
has changed over time?
As far as the money goes, I didn't have a problem with the money. I was in a situation where the company I left working for, which was Level or Window Fashions, they wanted me to move again, and I did not want to move. I had moved several times with them, been with them 9 years. My background, or most of what I was doing from my background previously, was point of purchase, display type work. I was also, prior to Levelor, I was with Hunter Douglas a couple of years, and then I spent 14 years in merchandising with Philip Morris, which of course is tobacco, cigarettes, Marlboro cigarettes. Did a whole lot of stuff with fixturing, point of sale. So what I was bringing to the back, what I brought in to the business was my knowledge of the print now in display and building displays and things like that. So it was a relatively easy transition for me. As far as the capital goes, I mean, we got all the equipment. I mean, my hardest thing was getting the first location, and I'm happy. I'm lucky enough that I've been in the same location for my entire Signworld career. I got in a building that was a total of 6,000 square feet. I took half of it, which was 3,000 square feet. It had a great, I mean, the owner that I got, it was a brand new building. So he built out a shop and a shop area for me that was air conditioned. Very nice tile. And then I had a large work area in the back with a full size garage door where I could pull stuff into. My first employee was Julie. She is my lead graphic designer. She's been with me for 16 years. So Julie pretty much runs, when I'm not here, or I can go away for a while, and Julie pretty much runs the business now. So she's been with me. And then I have my lead installer, who is also my fabricator. Now, Chad, he's been with me for 8 years, and Nate has been with me for 6 years. And then the other three people have been with me anywhere from 2 to 3 years. So I'm lucky enough that my core staff of 4, we've pretty much worked together for 9 years. So we're pretty cohesive and pretty open. The capital investment, I mean, I started in 2009, probably not the smartest time to start a business from scratch. But hey, I'm here 16 years later, and probably the best decision I made. Is that enough?
Yeah, and Jim, going back to the investment, how did you invest in the business? Did you take out an SBA loan? Did you do the ROBS program?
No, I did it myself.
Okay.
Yeah, I was lucky enough that I had, quite a nest. Well, I won't say quite a nest egg, but I had the money that I could do it myself. My house was paid for. Um, I was just very fortunate, Dan.
Yeah, very good, very good. Jim Stapleton, go back to startup. I know you started it with your one employee, but how did you handle the investment? Do you feel like the capital going into the business was enough to get you off the ground? And then from there, has your wife joined the business at all at this stage now?
She has not joined the business. I would love her to, but she has been my sugar mama this whole time, keeping me insured and fed. So, yeah, I started 4 years ago, as I mentioned before. I did do the ROBS, which is rollover for business startup. That's where you can take if you establish your company as a C corporation with a 401k, you can then roll over a portion of your or all of your pre pre pre-employer's 401k money into your own company's 401k, and they use that money to buy shares of stock, and that's how you finance without paying a big hefty penalty to do so. There's other things you have to do expense-wise on an annual basis with that type of a corporate structure, but that's how I did it. So to start up, in addition to the equipment package and the consulting fee with Signworld, I started with a little more than was recommended at the time. I think I started with a working capital of 70K, and that was more than enough to push us through till we were cash positive.
Very good. And Jim, how long did it take you to get to cash positive?
It depends what you call cash positive. I really didn't pay myself at all for the first year. I was fortunate enough to get a buyout from my previous employer, HP, and really it just was investing everything into the company. But I was, just cash on cash. I was probably positive within, 4 or 5 months. But again, I wasn't really paying myself other than a minimum wage that I was required to do as a C corporation officer at the time.
Yeah, and just to give some further clarity, what we classify as cash on cash break even is the point where the revenue coming in is covering the expenses going out, less owner's salary or income. That would be something you'd pile on top. So very good. So Jason, how about for you? Talk a little bit about how you made the investment, perhaps any additional capital you brought into for working capital, and then the dynamic of startup. I know it was just you, but then your wife joining along at some point.
Yeah, so Mary Lauren is still a flight attendant for Southwest Airlines. She will never leave Southwest Airlines because of the benefits that come along with that. And like Jim, she was my sugar mama for the first year as well. That she was bringing home enough money so that we could get this business off the ground. One of the main reasons why we decided to go with Signworld was to bring her off the road as much as possible. We have a 15-year-old daughter at home, and when she goes to work, she leaves for 3 days. And so we wanted to have something where it was a little more stable, where she could be home, at night and weekends and that kind of thing with our daughter being teenage years. Working capital, we started with a little bit more than what Signworld projects, only because we didn't want to worry about making a financial decision and being more afraid than confident in that respect. The way I funded the business is I used the ROBS program again, so my 401k owns the business, and I'm the sole proprietor of said business. So, any other?
Yeah, no, that's perfect. That's perfect. All right, well, very good. Well, hopefully, Heidi, that answered a few of the questions there that you were looking for. We'll circle back and work around another round, but let's go to Jeffrey. Jeffrey, go ahead and take yourself off mute and throw a question at our panel.
I'm good so far. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm good. Thank you.
Back. Absolutely. Justin, go ahead and take yourself off of mute and throw a question at our panel.
Sure. Hi, all. Thanks for your time. I'm approaching this a little differently. Signworld has a broker model, where you guys are obviously running your own business with your own facilities. I will be operating, if I move forward, as more of a middleman.
Hmm.
But there's still some things that I'm curious about. Like, as you approach the business, how did you look at competition? Was it heavy, or was it kind of an open playing field? The other thing was, Jim Braun mentioned having a designer. What's the importance of actually having the ability to help your clients actually design something?
Sure. So let's kind of wrap up a couple of those things together. So, uh, Jim Braun, start us off. When you started out, obviously the broker model wasn't available at that point, but outsourcing was still a big part of your business, may still be a big part of your business, even though you are a brick and mortar business. How do you handle outsourcing? What does the competition in your area look like? And then how do you handle design services? So a couple there
Hey,
wrapped together.
the competition in the area is, I won't say it's extensive. There are some pretty big players here. We've got Allen Industries, who primarily handles a lot of the McDonald's, the big corporate stuff. I actually do installs for them now. I do some of the Bojangles and things like that for them. Let's see. As far as outsourcing, pretty much my business, other than making signs and posters and banners and things like that in the beginning, but eventually I've moved kind of into my own fabrication. I currently fabricate probably 70% of what I put out there. I have a router, I have a 5x10 router, I have a laser now. We have a 5x10 flatbed printer. We've got two roll-to-roll printers. I've got two laminators. We've got a paint booth. Painting now. We do all of our own welding. We got a stick welder. We've got a bucket truck. And I'm actually thinking about purchasing a second bucket truck, just because the more of my business is doing installs for other people, other companies. We're doing a lot for Pet Supply Plus. We also have Cone Health, which is a huge health provider here locally that I've been with for about 13 years. So more and more of it we're fabricating in-house, which has some pluses. I control my own delivery times. The only thing that I still outsource is channel letters. I've got a really great fabricator here locally in Winston-Salem. Actually, I've got 3 fabricators here locally, and I've been working with them. I've been working with one of them for an extensive period of time, and they basically turn around channel letters for me in 2 to 3 weeks. So that's a little unusual. More of them are in the 4 to 5 to 6 week time frames. So I've built these relationships. As far as a designer, that was my first hire. Julie was my first hire. I actually hired her away from a company that did like blood mobiles and bookmobiles and ambulances and things like that. And I was able to get her away and brought her on board. And I had to pay her a little bit more than I wanted to initially, but Julie really taught me the business. She had extensive sign experience. She'd been in the business for about 12 years. She's been with me 16 now. I have, she is my sidekick. I mean, we don't, we talk every day. We have a meeting 3 times a week, production meeting, and pretty much I don't have to worry about a lot of stuff as far as the production side of it. I pretty much focus on contractors and the larger size jobs anymore. I don't get involved in the yard signs or the banners or things like that anymore. Yes, it's a big investment, but controlling my delivery schedule, I can beat most deliveries, on signs, pans. We do a lot of sign comp work, and we're in the process of getting UL listed. So we can start putting stickers on cabinets. So it's just, this is kind of all evolved in probably the last 2 years, Dan.
So you've kind of gone the other direction of where Justin to sort of be starting out as a broker model. You brought in more
Yeah,
control, which is
yeah.
great.
And I'll tell you what, the broker model is not a bad thing because there are a lot of people out there that supply sign shops. We cut letters for other sign shops. You know, there's we're just very fortunate to be in an area of the country that's growing like leaps and bounds. And there's one, two, three. There are 4 Signworld operations within 15 miles of me.
Oh,
So there's plenty of work.
Yeah.
But this area is growing like leaps and bounds. I mean, the manufacturing and distribution centers here that are going on here, and this area is unbelievable. What's happening?
Sure. Yeah, very good. Well, let's go to Jim Stapleton. So Jim, talk a little bit first. Yeah, how do you handle design services? Do you have in-house design capability? Do you outsource that and bring in fractional services? How do you handle design?
Well, we do both, but for the most part, we do design in-house.
Yeah.
Customers, especially we do mostly corporate or bigger customers now rather than consumers, but they'll usually have their brand defined and give you a branding guide up front. So we're not designing logos and things like that. However, you do need to transform their brand into a sign. Or into something that will print in the dimension you need to print or cut. So it's good to have somebody with at least decent, Illustrator or Corel skills to be able to work in vector art on staff. We also need to be able to design to submit permit documents and do renderings and site plans and things like that for the permits that we file with the various cities that we work in. So all of that's good to have that skill in-house. So the first employee I hired was sort of catch-all on somebody who could drive the printer and plotter and also do the Illustrator front-end portion of getting the art from a customer into a format that you can print or turn into something that you make money off of. But we also, for doing renderings for bigger projects, we do some of that in-house, but we also use SignPack, which is a partner of Signworld. They do really high-end, really professional renderings that impress customers. So we utilize that as well, obviously at an expense, but and some turnaround time, but we balance between the two.
Sure. And talk a little bit about outsourcing. You're obviously not at a point yet where you're manufacturing everything, so outsourcing is still an element of your business. How do you handle that and work through it?
We started with this regular Signworld package, and pretty much anything we were doing in year one, we're outsourcing now. So I don't like to do banners or yard signs or any of that kind of stuff. But you gotta pay your dues and learn on those orders early. And we did. And now I send almost all of that print type of stuff to a local wholesale sign partner that is in the market here, and we can get it the next day and just mark it up and call the customer and they come pick it up, or we'll deliver it if it's a bigger deal. We also have a CNC and various other equipment, a pop-up paint booth, and other things that we are doing. A lot of dimensional letters, a lot of lobby signs, illuminated and standard acrylic or aluminum. We do not do channel letters. I don't think I'll ever do channel letters. We have wholesalers and a couple local partners, but that do them so cheap, I don't think I could ever do them that cheap in-house. So, and I sub out channel letters and things like that as well. So it's a combination of in-house and outsourcing for us currently.
Sure. And then talk a little bit about competition, maybe not specifically who your competitors are in the area, but do you find that you have to compete on projects a lot? Do you find that there are nuances to working around bid packages that give you the ability to win out more than you lose? Talk a little bit about that competition side of it.
Omaha's not a huge market. There's probably 4 sign shops that are bigger than us here, and tons of little shops that are, if they're just vinyl or wrap businesses and things like that. There is way more than enough business for everybody, especially if, as a generalist, we do everything from vehicle wraps to channel letters to print and window graphics and everything else. And you drive around town and you just think of everything that's in the scope of what we say our business is. It's just massive. There's signs on everything. So I'm not concerned about competition. Obviously, bigger projects that are big company branding, building, and new businesses and things like that get more. They get multiple bids, so usually bumping up against those bigger guys. But for the most part, there's more than enough business in the sign industry for everybody and more.
Yeah, perfect. Well, let's go to Jason Randall. Jason, let's start off with the competition side of it. You're in Orlando, a bigger market than Omaha and the Raleigh-Durham area, the Tri-City area. So talk a little bit about competition first. How do you compete in the marketplace? What sets you apart? Do you find that you're having to sharpen the pencil a lot on bids to get them through? I noticed that you're on mute again, so
Thanks.
there you go.
The competition, Jack said it perfect when I was exploring this with, getting involved with Signworld, is he told me to call 10 sign companies and let them know you're a new business and you need a new sign. He goes, you might get 2 that answer the phone. You'll leave a voicemail for the other 8, and you might get a phone call or 2 back, and that's it. I called 10 sign companies and nobody called me back. So competition is, if you answer the phone, you'll get the job for the most part. It's that simple. I mean, it's kind of crazy. And, if you're like me, when I was going through this process, I was watching all these webinars over and over again. And Don Conklin said it best. There's 3 things that'll make you successful in the sign business: answer the phone, answer the phone, answer the phone. So we still have all of the same equipment that we got from Signworld with the package. We do, the only thing that we've added on is I did purchase a roll-to-roll laminator because we got the rollover table. But other than that, we haven't really expanded any of the equipment. We've got fantastic partners here as well that do the fabrication for our channel letters and do the installations on some of the different projects that we can't do. Florida's a little bit different in the sense that you can't pull a permit down here unless you have an electrical sign license. And there's very few people that actually have that license in the Central Florida area. So everybody kind of piggybacks off that anyway. So yeah, we outsource a whole lot of jobs. I've got my project manager is not only a designer, but he's a fabricator and an installer. He's been doing this for 20 plus years. It's not that you need a graphic designer. That's not what we use them for. Jim kind of put it more in line of what we look for as far as the sign industry needs, is we need to do renderings of what that sign looks like on the wall. It needs to be sized correctly. So that's more of what they're looking for in the graphic design. We don't design very often anybody's logos. We might tweak it a little bit for them if they've got something that they like, but it just needs to be vectorized, then we can do something like that. But as far as getting involved in the design of somebody's logos, we just don't go down that road.
Yeah, very good. Very good. Well, Justin, hopefully that helped answer a couple of the questions that you had there.
Can I ask one quick follow-up?
If you can make it quick, I want to make sure we've got time to work through everybody else. So go ahead and throw that out
Sure,
there.
and you can address this whenever. When the three of you are outsourcing a job, what are your gross margins looking like? If you can give me just a range.
Sure. Jim Brown, you want to start us off on that? When you're outsourcing, do you have a range of where your gross margins typically fit?
About 28 to 30.
Okay. Jim Stapleton?
We do a lot of outsourced installation, which I turn around and outsource again to my installer. So on those types of things, I'm about 20%. Channel letters, I'm 60%. I mark way up.
Jason Randall?
Yeah, I'm anywhere from 40 to 50% markup or margin on outsourced jobs.
So still pretty healthy. You guys are looking at,
Yeah.
for the most part, about an 80 to 100% markup on your outsourced work.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, good. Well, as we move into our next guest for their question, in the background, Sheree may be starting some slideshows so that you'll have some visuals as we go along here as well, showcasing some different operations, giving you a look and feel of what those look like. In addition, some projects that have been completed by Signworld Owners, so you get an idea of some of the big stuff that they've been working on, and then different types of signs. Again, just giving you exposure to the different capabilities that you'll have to offer to your clients. So as Sheree gets those prepped, we'll go into our next guest, David Baker. Go ahead and take yourself off mute and throw a question out to our panel.
Sure. Hey, everyone. So my background, professional background, has been in sort of more technical and operational excellence. I have some exposure and experience for a few years in the marketing side of things, so I can get my arms wrapped around that. Where I sort of fall down, or frankly, get scared a bit, is on the sales side of it. I'm I'm relatively introverted. I've got a friendly, warm personality, but the idea of putting on the sales hat and sort of, really putting yourself out there, freaks me out a little bit. So just wanted to get, kind of each of your guys' perspective on, like, how much of the job is really sales, or how much is, like the comment that was made, it's just, answering the phones and being reliable and turning things in a timely manner, and the business just sort of comes. Just try to understand that better.
Yeah, great. Thanks for the question, David. So let's add a little bit more to it. So we'll start with Jason Randall. Jason, talk a little bit about how you market today, and get your brand out there, the different activities that you participate in, and then when it comes down to the sales side of it, what does that really look like for you and your business?
As far as marketing is concerned, we use one of those Signworld preferred vendors to do our website. We get about between 85 and 90% of our new business comes from our website. I'm part of BNI. Mary Lauren is also a member of a BNI chapter as well. So we're doing that for networking. We are part of the Chamber of Commerce, but we have never gotten any business out of the chamber. BNI has been more beneficial for us in that respect. But again, we don't get a lot of huge jobs from the BNI connections as of yet. But the great thing about BNI is the fact that it makes you talk about your business every single week in a little bit of a commercial kind of thing. And so you'd be able to talk about your business, and it just kind of flows off. The sales, again, I think Jack said it best. When people call you, they're already wanting to buy something. You're not really selling them. You're just being the expert in telling them, what they're allowed, what they're not allowed. Most people don't even know what kind of sign that they're even looking for. And it's our job to kind of just educate them, as opposed to selling them. So the sales side of it is really not that big of a deal. You just have to be an educator more than a salesperson.
Jason, do you feel like you've ever had to go and do a cold call? I think that seems to be the scariest part of sales for most. Have you had to go knocking on doors and cold call opportunities?
I have, I haven't had to, unless I wanted to. And we've, and what I mean by that is, we've gone where we've installed something and saw that somebody else's sign was not up to, up to par, so to speak. And we'll drop off a card. But as far as going out and just knocking on doors or picking up the phone and calling people, no, we've never done that.
Yeah, very good. Jim Stapleton, go ahead and take yourself off mute. Talk a little bit about some of your marketing activities. How do you generate leads? And then talk a little bit about the sales side and what that looks like for you.
Yeah, sure. Like you, David, I was from an operations background. I was never customer facing in my previous roles. I was supply chain operations, and I dealt with salespeople who were dealing with customers. But kind of as Jason said too, you start and you immediately should engage with a digital marketing company. It can be someone local or one of the Signworld preferred partners that all do a very good job of making your phone ring. So, as it was also said, when the phone rings, they've already got demand. So that's a good foot in the door right there. I mean, we get 40 or 50 leads a month off of our digital marketing spend that we do with our partner. Early on, I did the BNI thing. It was a huge waste of time for me. Not a dig against BNI. I was just in a very unproductive group that didn't really bring any leads other than the dreaded yard signs that I mentioned earlier. But I did join a community business association that's in the part of town that we exist in. So we're active members there. They do social and lunch and learn and breakfast and bagels kinds of things, and grand openings for other small businesses. So we are active members in that group. So yeah, cold calls are not something I probably even have the stomach to do. So I don't. It might help our business if I were to go knock on some doors and try to sell a sign, but that's just not who I am.
And Jim, when a lead does come in, whether it's from your website or it's through a referral or repeat business, do you ever feel like you're having to convince the customer to buy that product, or do they already come in with a need and it's more consulting on the right solution?
Really depends on the customer. Sometimes I get a call and a customer's, already got a plan from a competitor sign company, and they're, shopping prices and trying to get other ideas. For the most part, customers don't buy signs every day. They don't know what they want, and it's then it's go out and give them some options and mock a few things up and let them pick from your from a few of the proposals that you give them. And as was said earlier as well, actually answering the phone is one thing, and then actually going and meeting with the customer, a lot of them are just shocked because they're like, what, I've called 14 people and you're the first one that's even called me back, let alone showed up.
Yeah, very good. Very good. Jim Braun, how about for you? Talk a little bit about how you generate leads today and get your brand out there. And then from a sales perspective, what does sales really look like for you?
Ours is a little bit different now. It's evolved. Originally started out with the BNI, did that routine for several years. Then it was developing the network. And one of the areas that truly expanded my business was I got involved with Rotary. I've been in Rotary for 12 years. Rotary has been a big network. It's a great network because there are many, many Rotary clubs within my market. I think there's 9 different ones. The great thing about Rotary is you can go visit other people in other meetings and go attend other meetings, and it's just like a giant BNI. that's really helped my business evolve. Now, the other thing that I focus on, we really didn't start doing any type of web marketing until 2 years ago. We've been using Measure Marketing, who's a partner of Signworld. We get probably, I'd say probably 8 to 10 really solid leads weekly from them. And depending upon the lead comes in. I have Vicky, who is in my front end. She answers the phone. She does a little bit of vetting. She's got probably 20 questions on a sheet of paper. She runs down to understand what the job is. Then the next step she'll do is she'll say, okay, well, this is probably a job we need to come out and do a site survey on, because we have to measure a building. We have to understand how big a sign we can put on your building. And we go a little bit above and beyond that. And I think that's what lands us probably 75% of our jobs, is actually making an appointment, and either myself or Nate will go out and see the customer on location. The other one is we developed a list, and this was started back early. We went and looked at every large contractor within the metropolitan area, in North Carolina, and we found companies like Samet Construction, Bloom Construction, Fourth Elm, Magnolia Construction, and these large companies. And what I did was I worked very hard at networking into these companies, getting on their bid lists. These places do a lot of signs. Now, when you get into these bid lists, there's a lot of vetting that goes on. Like, for example, Cone Health always uses 2 contractors, and I'm vetted in with both of those. But however, I do the signs directly to Cone Health, but these contractors know I do the business with Cone Health, so immediately they contact me and hey, we got a job that's coming up. I'm bidding on it. The other thing is I'm on their construction group. I had to go through some hoop jumping with Cone Health, had to sign some non-disclosure agreements, and basically I'm in their construction meeting every other week, and it tells me what Cone's doing for the next 2.5 years as far as developing. We're working on a heart center right now, and just the ADAs for the heart center are it's huge. But these are these sizable jobs, but I'm actually out of the day-to-day stuff. Maybe like Jason and Jim, you're more into it, but I just focus on the larger stuff. I enjoy it the most. That's where I get a lot of my networking skills. My background is sales and marketing, and you just really have to work very hard at networking into these larger contractors. You talk about the other guys that are in the market. They can't do everything. All right. They want to focus on the big stuff, just like Sign Resources does. But remember, they have a lot of little stuff too. Like, for example, we got a Bojangles. We don't have somebody to install this job at Bojangles, and it could be a $9,000 or a $10,000 install. And we didn't make anything. We just installed the stuff. We went and picked it up at their facility and went and installed it. So, I am more than happy to talk to anybody about this networking thing, but the working with the contractors, working with the large medical groups, finding out who the big property managers are. Big thing here is they're building just apartments everywhere here. And if you can get into some of these property management companies that have 2, 3, 4 phase apartment buildings, you get the first phase and you nail that one down, and you get the 3rd, 4th, and the 5th phase. And, every single building has 30 apartments in it. And it evolves on that. We don't do a whole lot of wrap work anymore. We do a lot of yard signs because our flatbed printer runs pretty much. If our flatbed printer isn't running 6 hours every day, we go through go through 75 sheets of Corex a month. We have a standing order, and that flatbed printer pretty much runs. We print them, flip them over, print the backside, cut them up, and we can deliver them in 2 days. And that's why I've kind of moved to fabricating more. But it's been in certain niches that you have to kind of develop your business. I wanted to go back to the designer. you get a lot of customers for these new people that are looking for designers that'll bring in artwork, and you'll get the artwork and it may not be usable. And the great thing about having my two designers is they can take that stuff and look at it in 2 or 3 minutes and go, yeah, we're going to need to vectorize it. It's going to, it's going to cost some money to get this artwork into a usable format. And we're able to have that discussion with the customers on the spot. And that has really been a big benefit to us. And you hear from these customers that, I went to Fast Signs or these other guys. And they pretty much told me, oh, we can't help you unless you have vector artwork or, EPS or an AI or a file that we can use. And we're able to turn that stuff out. We outsource a lot of that stuff, especially we outsource it offshore. And you can send it out one day and you got it back the next morning. So, that's our business, and more than happy to share with anybody just, how we do it. But working with the large contractors, working with the medical institutions, working with the property management companies, those are the big jobs that move the needle. Done.
Thanks.
And
everyone.
the bigger the customer, the more relational you can get, the less sales activities there really are.
It's pretty much they pick up the phone and they call us and they go, hey, we got another building, we need it done.
Yep. Very good. Very good. Well, I know we have about 5 minutes left and we have 2 guests left, so I want to make sure that we have time to get to their questions. I did see a question come through for you, Jeffrey, real quick about how much does the web marketing services cost. We recommend that you allocate somewhere around $2,500 a month to your web marketing campaigns. You're going to be plus or minus that depending on your individual market, but we can coach you through that and what that really looks like and how that then plays in with each of our respective partners or perhaps a third-party company if you decide to go outside of the Signworld network. But let's go to Ravi Valenki. Ravi, do you have a question that you'd like to throw out at our panel?
I do. Thanks, Dan. So I'm actually working with Dick on this. So I've been talking to a couple of owners for the last 2 days just to kind of get my bearing around, what their experience has been, especially on the virtual model, right? So 2-part question, right? One, I understand the dynamics of running a business, right? The margins, the cash flow, the working capital, and everything else. But one question that I had was, how do you determine your first hires? I mean, I know it's critical, like your sign maker. How do you know that you're hiring the right sign maker? Like, what should we be looking for?
Sure. And then what's the second part of your question there, Ravi?
The second is, how do you make sure that you're not sounding like a new kid on the block as you start out with the business? I know there's a lot of learnings in terms of the lingo and the pricing and how do you look at the scoping of your opportunity. So how do you kind of manage that as well as you move forward to expanding your horizons?
Sure. Yeah, perfect. So let's kind of work our way around. I'm going to start with Jason and Jim because they're working more through more of our current assistance in hiring within the business model. But very quickly to give you an overview of that, Ravi, we do provide you with job ads. We coach you on where to place them. When you have candidates come through, we do also help you through the interview process to ensure that they've got the skills and capabilities to perform the job. What we look at the owner for is really more that ability to assess the personality and the character, make sure they're somebody you want working for you. So we'll attack it from that angle. But Jason, talk a little bit about from your angle, what were you looking for in that first hire as you made that transition through the hiring process?
Well, just like you said, we were told to hire somebody based on personality, because you are going to be with that person primarily by yourselves for the first 6 or 12 months. So you need to make sure that you get along with each other, and then Signworld takes over from there and really dives in and tests them on the technical side, and that's extremely helpful. The other part of your question, as far as not being able to sound like you don't know what you're talking about, when I first started this thing, I couldn't tell you the difference between a channel letter and a monument sign. But again, the Sign World training, the webinars that they put on, really gets you that learning curve pretty quickly to figure out what's going on. And then talking to some of the other owners, that fake it till you make it kind of thing, it actually does work. Yes, you'll make some mistakes, but I look at that first year that we were in business as going back to college, and you're just, you're paying tuition as opposed to making money. But you learn a lot. You're going to be drinking from a fire hose for, a good 12 months to figure this thing out and then move on. But again, most people don't know what signs are made out of. And so you've already got a leg up on them just talking that, just going through it.
Sure. Yeah. Jim Stapleton, how about for you? What were you looking for in that first hire? And then from a different angle, how long did it take for you to feel comfortable in that learning curve to not necessarily have to fake it anymore?
I'll let you know when I'm comfortable. But seriously, the first hire, to me, first hire is a little different. All my hires since that first hire have been for attitude and ability to learn and grow in the company and get along with the culture we have here and with the teammates. That first employee, though, I think you need somebody with some industry experience, somebody who can drive the printer and knows their way around a laminator and can go out and install a window graphic and that sort of thing. So that was a difficult one for me. There was just nobody around. You put an ad in the paper, and even if you just anywhere in the text you say graphic artist, you get a million people who took 2 classes in a community college applying for your job, and those weren't what I needed. So that first hire may not be a great culture fit, but you need somebody right away who can be productive. So that's what I did. I've since parted way with that person, but I've had people behind him that came in that were a much better fit with me and the rest of the company and have grown into the roles. And so I guess that's, a two answer. First employee, get somebody who knows what they're doing, even though they may be a short-term person until you get people behind them who figure it out. And then you build a team based on your culture and their ability and their fit with you and the rest of the team.
Yeah, very good. And then Jim Braun, real quickly, what would you look for in that first hire? And then how long did, going back 16 years, how long did it take you to get to a point where you didn't have to fake it anymore and you felt comfortable?
I got Julie. She was my first hire. You guys helped me. We got 6 resumes. I sent them to you guys. Paul looked them over, asked me a few questions, came back with a few questions. Then once I got it vetted down to 2 people, Paul actually got on the phone and interviewed the people on the phone for about 30 minutes, asked them a bunch of technical questions. And from that thing, he came back and he said, I like this one over this one. I like their attitude. And he said, now the next thing is, he said, take one of your jobs. It was a banner for a restaurant. And I brought them in and I actually paid them to come in and do it. And they came in and sat down at the computer. And Julie took it within, when I gave it to her, she kind of looked at me like I was nuts. She said, this is ridiculous. And she had it done in about 14 minutes. Laid it out, got it ready to go, loaded up the banner material in the printer and printed the thing. And I think she was there for 30 minutes and I paid her $25 for the hour she was there, and I hired her the next day. So she pretty much taught me the business, but it took me about 6 weeks to get her. And I did have to fork out some money to get her, but here she is 16 years later.
In the same role. That's good. And how long before you felt comfortable, not necessarily having to fake it, going over jobs with customers?
I don't know, 6 months. I knew the business, Dan. I was
Yeah.
in the business beforehand, so I'm a little bit different. I was a little bit
Sure.
fortunate to know the print and display business. So, um, as far as I was a purchaser at that time, I was purchasing from sign companies, but now it was my role to make the stuff too, and I depended on Julie to make sure stuff got made correctly, and I stayed on the sales and marketing side.
Yeah, perfect, perfect. Well, I know we're over time, but Jason, Jim, and Jim, do you guys have just a couple more minutes that we can go through one more?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay, very good. Well, Jenny, go. You're our last guest question for the afternoon. Do you want to take yourself off mute and throw a question out to our group?
Well, I'm super new, so
That's
I
okay.
don't know if I have a question. I'm just
Just
amazed at
observing.
listening to what everyone's talking about, and I'm just really at the beginning stages of looking into this business.
Sure.
So thank you. I did notice there were a couple people already in the area where I live. So I guess my question would be, how do you know if your area is the right area to start a business in?
Sure. Yeah, well, I guess, a couple things. I'll just start from our corporate, perspective is we never really look at adding another Signworld location into a market where we may feel it's already saturated, and there's not a lot of opportunity. But Jason is in an area with a couple other Signworld owners. Jim Braun is. Jim Stapleton has another owner nearby as well. Talk a little bit about just working within the Signworld network. Do you feel like you're competing with other Signworld owners? Do you feel like there's too many in the area? That you're not having that opportunity to really grow your business. So Jason, I'll start with you in the Orlando market.
Yeah, there's what, 5, 6, I think there's 6 Signworld owners here in the Orlando area. 4 of us get along extremely well. And we all reach out to each other from time to time because somebody has another capability that we don't have. It's extremely helpful having people here that are older than me in the business, because I can use them as a resource to find out who they use for different projects as well. So no, having more Signworld owners in the area is more beneficial than it is a hindrance. So, and again, when I first got into this, Jack was talking about, when you're driving down the road and you see all those signs out there, that makes up 2% of our business. There's just so much business out there that it's unbelievable.
Yeah, very good. Jim Stapleton, how about for you? I know you've got another owner in the area. Do you find that you compete with each other? You help each other, sort of don't communicate much? How does that work for you with other owners in the area?
Yeah, I'm in an unusual situation, and there's only one other Signworld owner, probably within 200 miles of me here. There's a lot of other sign shops, but only one other Signworld, and he's kind of a hermit of a guy, so he enjoys being a one-man shop and does small jobs, and I don't think he has a team at all. But I don't compete with him. And I think I bumped into him and on one job about a year ago where we were both up against it. So no, but for the most part, my relationship with the whole Signworld network, even out of my range, is very good because we still refer business to each other. I mean, we I did a job with Patrick out of North Carolina, O'Neill, just this past Saturday. He had a national account where he referred some installation to us that we went and did a bunch of installs for him here. So overall, the network is a lot more helpful than competitive or adversarial for sure.
Jim Brown, how about for you in your area? Do you feel like it's saturated with Signworld owners? Do you feel like there's ample opportunity out there?
I think there's ample opportunities, and 9 times out of 10, we don't know that we're competing against each other until the job is probably solidified, accepted. In most cases, it's like, oh, hey, Des, I saw that on your webpage. and you just kind of see that it was his, he got the job. But, and again, I do work for Patrick. Patrick's here as well. So we get along, we all talk. There's what are there? There's 4 of us. One of them's a hermit, and the other 3 we talk regularly. And I do stuff for Patrick. I cut stuff and I print on the flatbed for Patrick. So it's there's more than enough business out there, guys, inside and out. There's more business inside than there is outside, and you just got to figure out how to get your hands into it.
Well, very good. I want to thank again our panel for taking a little extra time today. To our guests, thanks for joining in. I hope it was helpful to you to have some of your questions answered, gather a little bit more information. Again, the panel, thanks for sharing insights and information into your respective businesses and helping these guests through their discovery process. For those looking at future opportunities to learn about Signworld, you can always reach back to your respective representative that you may be working with, either Jack, Jeannie, Dick, or myself. We're happy to work through more questions and thoughts with you. We also have another upcoming live webinar scheduled for Wednesday, April 16th. So that'll be an upcoming event. You'll see invitations for that. But for now, again, we want to thank everybody for joining in. Have a great finish to your Wednesday and a great week. And we'll see you all soon. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.